This is a really good example of how the predict the question strategy can really help us if we've been practicing and know what kinds of questions are going to be on the test. So this is not a style question. I know that we can kind of look at these answer choices and say, well, it just seems like the wording is what changes, so I should just pick the most like good sounding wording, like whatever sounds best. There is a rule here though. I don't know that the choices tell me which rule it is, but the sentence does. This sentence is very clearly telling me that I have to think about modifiers. This first part, let me highlight this, is a modifier. It's long, but it's an introduction to the main sentence. It is giving me some background, it is giving me some extra information. And when I have a modifier, it needs to be directly followed by the thing it's modifying. So this spot right here has to be whatever we were just talking about. So one strategy you can use is you can turn the modifier into a question. So I know it's long, but let's just try it. What was inspiring directors around the continent to design and execute more unified, detailed productions? So maybe let me shorten that a little bit. What was inspiring directors? Okay. Well, choice A makes it seem like it's the title. The title George was dubbed with was the Theater Duke. First of all, I don't really know what that's even saying, but the title is not inspiring these people. That also is kind of what B is saying. So even though it starts with George, the apostrophe there is telling me that we're really just describing the thing that we're really talking about. It's almost like a modifier on a modifier. So it's a trap here. The SAT does this with apostrophes a lot when they have modifier questions. Is they make us think that that first word is what we're talking about. But the apostrophe kind of turns a noun into an adjective. It turns a thing into like a description. And so here what's happening is we're kind of just describing the thing we're actually talking about, which is still the title. And then C kind of does the same thing by just like making it the name of the title. But again, we're still not really placing our modifier next to the right idea. What we really want to say is that George was the thing that was doing the inspiring. So it's a little weird because it kind of, in my mind, almost flips the sentence in a backwardsy way, and I think that that's intentional. We are not allowed to really use sound for modifier questions. If the sentence sounds good, it might just be because we're used to saying these kinds of things wrong, and we're not thinking about how the sentence is constructed. We prefer to prove our answer by thinking about the actual rule, and sometimes that might overlap with what sounds good, but not always. So it's George that was inspiring directors around the continent to design and execute more unified, detailed productions. And so if we turn it into a question and then with the context of the rest of the passage, it kind of makes sense. And that's what makes D the answer here. These are hard questions. This is a hard rule because it's hard to predict that they're testing it, but hopefully just by knowing that it exists, you're more likely to kind of look out for it. Most of the time when we do the predicting of the question, we're looking at the answer choices for guidance. If that doesn't help us though, sometimes the structure of the sentence itself will kind of tell us to consider certain rules. Lists and comparisons are also kind of in that category with modifiers of like sentence structures that we need to pay attention to. They don't come up often, modifiers, but hopefully next time you'll recognize it and get the question right.